Hey, friend, have you ever wondered how therapy actually helps anxiety and what changes through the course of doing therapy? Well, that's what we're going to unpack in today's video. I'm Josh Spurlock, a licensed Christian counselor, here to answer your questions about faith and mental health. So, what changes in therapy? What happens? To answer that question, you need to understand a little bit about what anxiety is and how the brain works, and how different kinds of therapy try to help. Because there's two main categories of therapy when it comes to anxiety, and they aim at attacking or helping anxiety in different ways. So, let's look at the brain. So this is your brain, and this is inside your brain. So how does anxiety work? Anxiety works when the sensory data of your body, so what's happening inside your body and what you see, smell, taste, touch, everything that comes in from your senses outside your body, runs past this part of your brain, the hippocampus, that then brings to bear any memories that might be associated with any of the sensory data that's coming in. It's how you recognize a smell or a sound or something that you're tasting. Like, you know what that is and are able to place the sensory data in a context because your hippocampus is accessing memories associated with that sensory data. And one of the key functions of that is to alert your brain if there's a potential threat. And so if one of the memories associated with some sensory data in some way resembles something threatening from your story, the panic button gets hit. And this amygdala part of your brain sends off a threat response. And so this is to help protect you from potential dangers and to animate and motivate your body towards a stance of being postured for defense, for fight or flight, to be able to protect you. And so there's the memory component of anxiety that is the trigger, the root of your anxiety is rooted in experiences of life that cause a given sensory cue to become a danger threat or a threat cue, right? And then that information becomes consciously aware as it's pushed upward to the top part of your brain and the front part of your brain in this prefrontal cortex. This is where it moves from an unconscious memory and body response of sympathetic activation or fear response activation to being aware that you're feeling anxious. And so that happens in this part of your brain. And this front part of your brain also has the ability to talk back down to the middle part of your brain in here. So it's top to the basement of the brain, as it were, down in this region. And it helps to regulate your emotional experience and regulate your anxiety. Back to therapy. How does therapy help? There's a category of therapy that focuses on using your prefrontal cortex to regulate the experience of anxiety. And that top-down technique helps manage the symptoms of anxiety, right? But it doesn't address the root cause of anxiety, that is the memories associated with the sensory data that triggers the anxiety response to begin with. And so cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is a very common therapy used with anxiety, and it's a top-down approach that uses your thoughts and your thinking processes to regulate what's happening in here. And it can help regulate the symptoms of anxiety. And so it can help decrease how anxious you feel. But it doesn't address the memories that triggered the anxiety in the first place. But there is a kind of therapy that does address that. The mechanism of the therapy that changes that root of your anxiety is called memory reconsolidation. And memory reconsolidation works through a process of where memories associated with your anxiety are activated, and then you have a new experience that rewires that memory so that it then saves in such a way that in the future it doesn't trigger anxiety when it's activated. And so you're not just managing the symptoms, you're actually addressing the root cause. And in that way, your anxiety leads you back to the memories that need healing or transformation so that they no longer trigger that anxiety response. So, what are the therapies that do that? So, you can use secular models of therapy like ADP or EMDR or AF-EMDR or internal family systems, IFS. These are all secular models of therapy that are oriented towards this kind of memory reconsolidation work that actually address the roots of therapy. The model that I practice is called neuroscience-informed Christian counseling. It's a model we developed at My Counselor Online, and it draws from both the top-down approaches of cognitive behavioral approach in regulating kind of our thinking and our thoughts around anxiety, and it also gets underneath the anxiety to the memories that are triggering the anxiety in the first place, what we call wounds or gaps. And by having mismatching experiences, we're able to rewire what's happening in the brain around your anxiety so that the root is addressed and the anxiety is permanently addressed, not just the symptoms. So that's what's happening in therapy that changes anxiety. And now you know. Thanks for hanging out with me, watching this video. If you've got questions, leave them in the comments. We'll make some more videos. And until next time, I want you to know that I'm praying for you and that I'm cheering you on as you mature into true happiness.